Rain hammered the cracked highway in wild, slanting sheets, the kind that blurred the world into a trembling watercolor. Adam Hale tightened his grip on the steering wheel of his old pickup, squinting into the storm as the wipers struggled against the deluge. His 7-year-old daughter, Lily, slept in the passenger seat curled under his faded firefighter jacket, her hair a tangled halo against the window. They were coming back from her school's fundraiser, one of the few nights he'd allowed himself to take off from the auto shop. Nights like these always brought back memories he tried not to touch. The sound of another storm, the twist of metal, his wife's final breath. He shoved the thought down. Life didn't allow him the luxury of drifting into the past anymore. The sudden flash of hazard lights ahead cut through the rain. Adam braked hard. A white luxury SUV, new, expensive, and absolutely out of place on a road like this, was pinned sideways against the guardrail, steam hissing from its crumpled hood. A tree limb had smashed across the windshield, branches still twitching in the wind like fingers clawing for escape. "Dad," Lily stirred. "What's wrong?" "Stay here," he said gently. "I'm going to help someone." He flicked on his own hazards, grabbed his flashlight, and darted into the storm. The driver's side was crushed inward, glass scattered like glittering ice across the asphalt. When he shone his light inside, he saw her, slumped over the airbag, unconscious, dark hair plastered to her face, blood streaked along her temple. "Hey," he shouted, tapping on the window. "Can you hear me?" Nothing. His training snapped into place. He yanked open the passenger door. It groaned but gave way, and crawled inside. The cabin smelled like expensive leather and burning metal. Her pulse fluttered under his fingers. "Alive. Thank God. I'm going to get you out," he murmured, more to steady himself than because she could hear. It took force, brute, desperate force, to pry her free from the tangle of the seatbelt. When he lifted her into his arms, she was lighter than he expected. Fragile, almost. Rain soaked both of them instantly as he carried her to his truck. Lily stared wide-eyed. "Is she hurt?" "She'll be okay," he assured her, settling the woman gently onto the back seat. "Hand me the first aid kit." Lily scrambled to grab it. For the next several minutes, he cleaned the cut on the woman's forehead, checked her breathing again, and wrapped her in the dry blanket he kept for emergencies. Her eyelids fluttered once, then again, before finally opening. Brown eyes, deep, disoriented, and striking. "You're safe," Adam said quickly. "I pulled you from your car. Do you hurt anywhere?" She blinked at him, confused, rain dripping from his hair onto the floor mats. I think I'm okay. My head just feels like it's floating." She lifted a shaky hand to her temple. "You've got a mild gash. Might need stitches." She managed a faint, humor-laced groan. "Of course. I always fall apart in the least graceful ways." Her voice was soft, cultured in a way that immediately told him she was not from around here. Lily crawled up slightly to peek over the seat. "Hi," she whispered. "I'm Lily." The woman's gaze softened. "Hi, sweetheart. I'm Nora." Adam caught the small wince she tried to hide. "We're taking you to the hospital," he said firmly. "It's 20 minutes out." Nora opened her mouth as if to protest, then seemed to think better of it. "Thank you. Really. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't stopped." He shrugged. Anyone would have. But the truth was, not everyone would have. As Adam pulled back onto the road, with Nora lying quietly behind them and Lily humming to herself, he tried not to notice how strange the moment felt, how intimate, how the air seemed to shift, charged with something unspoken despite the storm outside. The hospital lights were too bright, the waiting room too cold. Nurses whisked Nora away the second they walked in, leaving Adam and Lily by the reception desk. Adam filled out the accident report, his handwriting growing increasingly cramped from exhaustion. He was used to long days, long nights, never enough sleep, but somehow tonight felt heavier. "Dad," Lily said, tugging at his sleeve. "Is she going to be okay?" "Yes, Bug." He kissed the top of her head. "She's strong. You like her," Lily declared suddenly. Adam nearly choked. "What? I just met her." "But you looked at her with your worried eyebrows." "Look." She attempted a serious frown to demonstrate. "Like when I have a fever." "That's because she was in a car accident," he said, fighting a laugh. "Not because." But Lily had already lost interest, her gaze drifting toward the vending machines. A nurse approached them, Mr. Hale. He stood. How is she? She's stable. Mild concussion. Some stitches. She asked if you were still here. Something in his chest shifted. Can I see her? Of course. He followed the nurse down a sterile corridor. Nora sat propped up on the hospital bed, hair messy but eyes bright. When she saw him, her face lit with an expression so warm it startled him. You stayed, she said softly. He rubbed the back of his neck. Had to make sure you were okay. Nora exhaled, relief washing through her features. I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to. I'm glad I was there. She studied him, really studied him, before letting a small smile play at her lips. Most people don't stop in storms like that. I'm not most people, I can see that, she whispered. A silence settled between them, comfortable yet unnervingly electric. She seemed ready to say something else, but at that moment a man in an expensive charcoal suit rushed into the room, face pale with panic. Nora, oh my God. Everyone's been trying to reach you. The board is in chaos. Your brother thinks you've been kidnapped. His gaze shifted to Adam, then to the dried blood on Nora's forehead. Who is he? What happened? Nora's shoulders slumped slightly. Derek, please. I'm fine. There was an accident. Adam helped me. Derek's jaw tightened. You shouldn't be driving alone. Especially not at night. You know how dangerous. Enough, she said sharply. He shut his mouth, though displeasure simmered in his eyes. Adam took a step back, suddenly feeling wildly out of place. This man radiated the kind of wealth and authority he recognized only from news stories and bank commercials. I should go, Adam said quietly. My daughter's out in the waiting room. Just wanted to check in. Nora reached out quickly, catching his wrist before he could turn away. Her touch was gentle but grounding. Wait, please. He froze. I want to thank you properly, she said. I wouldn't. I might not have made it without you. Her voice trembled slightly on the last words. You don't owe me anything, he murmured. She held his gaze, something flickering there, something earnest, searching. You may not want anything, she said, but I'd still like to see you again. The words hung between them. Derek scoffed under his breath. Nora, you've just been through a trauma, you aren't. She cut him off with a glare sharp enough to silence him again. Adam swallowed hard. He wasn't used to someone like her wanting to see someone like him again. And yet the sincerity in her eyes tugged at something in him he thought had gone numb years ago. I'll check in tomorrow, he said finally. If that's okay. Her smile warmed in a way that made his heartbeat stumble. It's more than okay. He left the room before he could say something foolish, but he felt her gaze following him long after the door closed behind him. The next morning arrived with sunshine so bright it felt like a different world entirely. Adam dropped Lily at school, then stared at his hands on the steering wheel for a long moment. Why was he nervous? He'd faced burning cars, collapsed buildings, grief deeper than words, and yet walking into a hospital to see a woman he'd met only hours ago made something twist inside him. He told himself he was only checking to make sure she was still okay. He didn't believe his own lie. When he stepped into her room, Nora looked up from her phone, and the entire atmosphere shifted. Her smile wasn't polite, it was luminous, relieved. You came, she breathed. Yeah, wanted to see how your head was. It's good, sore, but good. He lingered by the doorway, unsure whether to sit. You know, she said playfully, most people sit when they're invited to visit. Heat crept up his neck. He moved to the chair beside her bed. She studied him again. The way people studied sunsets, or rare paintings, or things they found unexpectedly beautiful. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. What made you stop last night? The storm was awful. Most people would have driven past. He hesitated. My wife died in a car accident. Years ago. I couldn't risk someone else not making it. Her expression softened with something tender and aching. I'm so sorry. He shrugged. Life moves on. Lily keeps me going. She's adorable, Nora said genuinely. Brave too. She kept asking if I'd be okay. Adam smiled, pride flickering across his face. She's a good kid. Nora fiddled with the hospital bracelet on her wrist. Would you think it's strange if I said I feel like I've known you longer than a few hours? He blinked, startled. Maybe. She laughed softly. I didn't say it made sense. He glanced at her bandaged temple. Probably the concussion. Probably. But her eyes said otherwise. Before he could respond, Derek reappeared, looking less frantic now but still polished and imposing. Nora, your legal team is waiting downstairs. We need your approval to. He finally noticed Adam again. Oh, you're back. Adam stiffened. I just came to. Yes, Derek waved irritably. Check on her. How sweet. Nora shot him a warning look. Derek, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Derek scowled but left. She turned back to Adam, and the irritation on her face softened instantly. I'm being discharged later today, she said. I would like to see you again outside a hospital room. Adam exhaled slowly. I work a lot, and I have Lily. My time's limited, she finished. I understand. So is mine. But I still want to try. He stared at her, the war inside him obvious. You don't even know me. That's the thing, she whispered. I want to. Silence stretched, and for the first time in years, something warm, something hopeful, pressed against the walls he'd built around himself. Okay, he said finally. Her smile, bright, genuine, grateful, felt like sunlight breaking open the room. What Adam didn't know, what he couldn't possibly guess, was that Nora's last name, the one printed on the legal documents waiting downstairs, carried enough weight to shift markets. That her net worth sat among the richest women in the country. That her world of private jets and gated estates and billion-dollar meetings was nothing like his life of greasy engine parts and overdue bills. And he certainly didn't know that the woman he'd carried from a shattered SUV was already falling for the man who didn't treat her like the world bowed at her feet.